Hey everybody, we're back.
Hello. Yes. Woohoo.
It's been 2 long weeks, and we made it back to y'all because we could not come back. We had to come back. So we're doing it. We're happy, and we're rejuvenated. You see, I look fresh. Do I look fresh? Look, I look fresh. I know I look fresh. Don't even tell me I look fresh. I look fresh. I look
You got a haircut.
Yeah, I got it all off. So, see, I don't have to wear no hat on the show tonight because I got it all off. So it's cool. It's cool. It's cool. Anyway, I'm Simply D.
This is Jules.
And you are tuned in to the INNERMIX show Hangouts. And in just a few weeks, we're going to be dropping the Hangout at the end of it because of some cool stuff that's going to be happening with this particular show. So, so we can't be like Hangouts where we're going to be doing it at. We can't be doing that because we're like, oh, so we don't matter. We're not going to do that. Yeah. So soon, all y'all who be watching us here, that's right, I'm using proper English, all y'all who be watching us here will also be simultaneously able to listen to us, or those who just won't listen to us will also be listening to us on the INNERMIX show. Yes, that's right, we are going back to radio, but we're not leaving y'all behind. Y'all going with us. Hop in the truck. So
we're going back to our roots.
We're going back to our roots. Yes, we are. And this time round, we're going to be doing some things that that we didn't do last time. Although we had a good time last time too. But we're looking to get more guests. We're looking to expose y'all to more stuff, and we're just looking to have a good time while doing it. And you're going to be along.
We're growing, and we want to have you along with us as we grow, so we grow together.
Yeah, because I am getting fat, so y'all need to get fat with me.
No, I thought you were losing weight.
I am losing weight. I just wanted to get.
How you getting fat?
I'm getting fat head. I'm getting a fat head.
Welcome to my world on that one.
I know. I feel like the more I lose weight, the bigger my head gets. I'm like, oh, I can't lose no more weight. I can't.
Serious. You'll be a spoon eventually. Don't do it. Don't be a lollipop.
You're the. Hey, so I was saying this the other day. So they have this candy called Dum Dums, right?
Yeah. You'll be the great flavor.
Right. I'll be great flavor Dum Dum. But I was looking at the history of candy, and I'm like, so first they were lollipops, and then they became suckers, right? And now people just want Dum Dums. Like, you don't want a sucker no more. You don't want an all-day sucker. You want a Dum Dum. Somebody.
But you know what's so funny about that? When you just mentioned it, immediately came to mind Twinkie, Ding Dong.
Yeah.
The names are just funny, and then how we made these names into derogatory terms is yummy.
You want a ding dong? I know you do. I know you do.
You're a ding dong.
Because you was a sucker. No, forget it. You a dum dum. That's why you want the ding dong. Anyway,
remember Big Daddy?
Oh yeah, and now they have sugar daddies. And they have sugar babies.
Oh yeah. Oh goodness.
Big Daddy became a sugar daddy, and now he got some sugar babies out there.
See how that happened?
Yeah, 100 grand, got you. No, but anyway, so tonight, you guys, we decided to come back because a lot has happened in the 2 weeks we were gone. We were only gone for 2 weeks.
A lot.
In those 2 weeks we were gone, so much stuff took place. So we're going to talk about some of the things that you guys have been talking to us about on Twitter and talking about just all over the place. So we're gonna weigh in because you've been asking for our opinions on these different matters, and some things. Because it's funny, because Jules and I were doing a pre-production meeting before the show started. That's why we're a little late.
Sorry.
Yeah, just a little late. We're a little late. And coming back on vacation, that's pretty good for only being like 5 minutes late. Because, but anyway, we realized that Jules noticed a whole section of news on one side, and I noticed a whole section of news on the other side, and somehow it all came together to tell a great story or a sad story or however the story really works out. So but I thought it was interesting how we look at the world around us, and it really just fascinated me because Jules was telling me about all the stuff that a lot of things that are going on, and I'm looking at all the stuff that people have been bringing to me or things that I've been seeing. And so tonight, you guys, we're going to weigh in on a lot of these things and give you our opinions, but recognize that they are our opinions. And in some of the situations, we are not experts in some of these situations, but we are very well educated. We are also spiritually educated. So some of these things are very, they deal in those areas. And, we are not, ooh, how do I say this one?
Well, we're humanitarians.
Yes, we're humanitarians. Yeah, we are. Now, I was thinking about some of the psychology stuff, but it's like we are not clinical therapists, we'll put it like that, but we have a lot of training. We don't know, we do know enough about things to weigh in on these things from a.
And we've done a lot of counseling.
A lot of counseling.
And coaching.
Yes.
And talk to a lot of people.
Yes. So and we do have in some situations we do have a lot of formal training, but we're saying all that to say this. These tonight are going to be our opinions on things. You're going to hear some things that are driven purely by opinion and things like that. But then some things are technically going to be correct because of the training and our experience and stuff like that. For those new viewers who are tuning in tonight who don't know who we are and what we do, we want to make sure that you get a clear understanding that this is not anything other than our opinion and some research and some experience here at the table today. So we, as topics come up and you have any questions, the question and answer field is open. So if you have any questions about anything that's coming up on tonight's show, please go ahead and type in a question about anything that's going on in the news. And if we know it, we will talk about it. If we don't know it, we'll Google it and then talk about it. You see what I'm saying?
And if you feel that we're wrong in something, let us know. Bring it to our attention. We want to know more things all the time.
Yeah, exactly. So keyboards are standing by. But before we jump into the news and things like that, we got to start things off the right way. Jules, how was your vacation? What did you do?
Oh, wow. Okay, so a lot of things have happened in the last couple weeks. I became an auntie to a beautiful, beautiful baby girl. I'm so excited to meet her. I have not yet met her yet because we are several thousands of miles away. But I will be meeting her in October, so I'm very happy about that. So she actually came 2.5 weeks early. She is a drama queen already. She likes to. I guess it runs in our family. Anyway, she has a lot of hair. She is a big girl. She's already got a lot of energy. She likes to eat. My kind of people. And she's already so active. She's only 2 weeks old, and she's already starting to turn around like 180.
Everything. She got to
be. Flipping. That's very rare for two. And so she had a little bit of black gene in her. So everybody's, that's a black gene in her. That's good.
Yeah, because my daughter was flipping too. She was like, wait, what?
Yep.
Yeah.
They start early.
The hair start moving first. The hair, the first thing they learn. No, go ahead.
Yep. Oh, and you should see some of the facial expressions. It is hilarious. Anyway, so that's happened. I also got news that one of my amazing, amazing friends is getting married.
Oh, hey.
He's engaged, and they're getting married in Thailand at the end of the year. So I will be making a trip out there, and I will, show you guys around. I'll try to document as much as I can without being invasive of my friend's privacy. But if I see something awesome, I'll share with you. So stuff like that. And what else has happened? I finally went into studio. Had amazing studio time session, and we created some amazing new songs for you. So you'll hear a bunch of them pretty soon. Crossing fingers. What else? Gosh, I personally have been dealing with a lot of stress. I've realized, because I have my girlfriends over, coming from, they were on break or whatever from different parts of the U.S. And so I had time to like hang out with them, have dinner, and really get to talk in person, and which was very important, or is very important to me, and what's something I really, really needed. And during the discussion, I guess I have to apologize to you guys because I say it all the time. It's my mantra, like all the time. I'm like the queen of get to know yourself, spend time with yourself, and deal with those things and all of that, and take time out for yourself. If not a little bit every day, at least some time set aside for you, only you, and you deal with things. I haven't been doing that for me. And I came to that realization, and I had an aha moment, and went off, and so I have to apologize because I haven't been doing what I've been saying, and so I'm going to start doing what I am also saying. Yeah, so and because I haven't been doing that, I think I was just being emotionally drained, because I haven't had time to, or given myself time to recoup. And that's very important. So yeah, a lot of external family, friends stuff happening in the last 2 weeks, as well as in my personal life for me, internal stuff happening in the last 2 weeks. But it was overall the best vacation, I guess I could have said. even though it was a staycation, I didn't go anywhere really. But I did, physical exercise and stuff like that is like a normal thing for me. But, I got to really think about and regroup my thoughts. So it was nice. That's important. So thank you for giving us 2 weeks off. Yes.
Coolness.
How was your 2 weeks?
Same. No.
Okay. Moving on.
My 2 weeks was really my 2 weeks honestly was it was odd for me, to be quite honest, because well actually, you know what? I'm kind of glad we had our 2 weeks off because I found that I'm moving forward and starting over from scratch all at the same time because most of you guys don't know that Jules and I are also managers. That's one of the reasons why we're always so busy and why we know so much about what's going on in entertainment, or just because we work in different parts of entertainment and all this stuff. But we own a management company and got a new artist. And so in and of itself, that is another full-time job. It truly is. So with all the things that we do as INNERMIX and all the preparation that we're doing for what's coming down the road and all the things, some of these things that are coming down the road are literally weeks away, right? But in the middle of all that, we it looks like we're getting a new artist in. So so we are. So I had, as the head developer of our company, that's a nice way of saying it, right? As the head developer, I realized that I have to get conditioned again for the beginning of the road process once again. And and anybody that I've worked with knows that I'm not going to ask you to do something that I can't do. So that way, so if I need you to stay awake, I have to get conditioned to be awake to do all these things. If I'm going to get you ready to sing, dance, or whatever, then I have to, go back through this stuff. So I'm like, last artist I worked with to develop was Jules, right?
That was fun times. I still remember. Clear this day.
So I got in the habit of warning people, like, before you work with me, really think about it. See if there's someone else you want to work with. Because working with me is not easy, right? It's not like you're going to be told, step on your left foot, I step on your right foot, hand in the air, and pose. That's not my job. That's, so we're starting. So like I said, so we're moving forward. A lot of great opportunities are coming down the road for INNERMIX. But at the same time, for our company, DEFCON 1 Entertainment, which is our management company, we have a new artist coming through the door, and as, like I said, head developer, you know, I'm working, you know, that at the same time. And and then, but this time though, it's gonna be fun because INNERMIX is helping to develop, not just D. So it's gonna be great. And then
no, just kidding.
Yeah. Yeah. You talk that talk, girl. Talk that talk. No,
I always talk the talk. I don't have a problem with talking.
I remember one time somebody talked that talk. I need a band, and I'll be good. Talk that talk, girl. But anyway, so I wonder if you.
The problem is now walking. If I'm in heels, I can't walk no more.
Right?
I came to that realization pretty quickly this weekend too.
Really? Oh wow.
I wore heels to church. And I was singing that day, so I was standing from 8 till 2.
As a PK, you know this is what you do.
Mm-hmm. So I'm
I'm
like
this you should already know you don't
like either selling my shoes or something. Anyway.
Yeah. So. Anyway, so yeah, so like I said, it was a really good time. The only thing that I kind of regret from vacation, especially on Monday nights, is I missed the show. I really missed you guys, and the first week, a lot of people forgot that we weren't coming on the air, so they were hitting up Twitter like, "What happened? Did something happen? You know, we haven't seen any news or anything. What's going wrong?" So you know, we addressed that for you guys because we knew that it was just so cute to see how many people were upset that our show wasn't on the air. So we're back. And but the other thing too was I was going to bed, you know, at human hours, you know, and I was like, wow, this is so odd for me. So I got comfortable with it, and then I'm like, ooh, I can't let this happen. But luckily, like I said, got a new artist, so that's not going to happen too much. That's not going to be happening too much no more. But hey, if y'all see me fall asleep in the middle of an interview, you know why. I'm done. During development, Jules will tell you, I'll fall asleep with a plate of food in my hand and not even know I fell asleep. I work hard because, you know, you're not going to work to develop somebody and not put your all into it. You're just not going to do that. So good times. And no, we're not signing anybody else right now. Gotta put that out there.
One's enough for now.
One is a plenty for now. But yes, but maybe in a couple of weeks or a couple of months, you guys will get to meet our, you know, the new artist, because she will be rocking and rolling with us for a while and hanging out and seeing what we really do. So, you know, hey, we'll introduce you guys when time is right. Anyway, let's get on into tonight's show, because there's so much to talk about.
Oh my gosh, so much.
So much to talk about. But let's start things off with, how about we go back and forth? We'll do some pop culture stuff, and then we'll do some around the world stuff, and, you know, keep it flowing back and forth so that we're not just all in ridiculous and not all in cry your eyes out. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, let's mix the ridiculous with crying your eyes out so you can be crying your eyes out ridiculously. You know, like. So let's do that. But one of the first questions that we did get, so I wanted to address this at the beginning of the show, because I wanted, you know, because you guys actually ask us a lot of questions too, is what's been going on with INNERMIX? So, you know, you're asking for INNERMIX news because, you know, A, we haven't done the INNERMIX report in I don't know how long, you know, forever. But this was a popular question. Now that, you know, we have people out there promoting, you know, us and this part of what we do, a lot of people are asking what else is going on and stuff. So first, you guys, let's see, where do we begin? We told you about the radio show. We're coming back to the radio, and believe it or not, that actually takes some real work to set that up and to get that going. And a lot of rules for even internet radio has changed, especially when you do what we do in terms of we sometimes break new artists on our show. We do a lot of, you know, we do interviews with celebrities, and we do a lot of, you know, that kind of stuff. So we make it a point to make sure that if we're going to deliver it to you, we deliver it to you right. With the first time we had our show, it was a lot of development happening on our show, growing, getting used to the industry getting used to us. Great. Now we are INNERMIX. Okay, So now that people know us and they know what to and they have an expectation of us, we need to deliver that expectation in the most entertaining way possible so that we don't fall asleep on our own show.
Yeah. That's no good.
And being who we are, if we're not entertained, we will. Y'all know, we ain't no faking here. Oh, that was a great interview. No, we've done interviews like, oh my God. Woo, well, at least that's over. Well, back to the music. Let's put a song on. Let's pump it back up. So we're definitely doing the radio show. Like Jules said, we have some new music coming for you guys, but not just music, because everybody puts out music. We have some visuals for our music coming along too. And we have our new website coming out as well. See, we've been busy because it's not just a website. You're basically going to be tuning into the INNERMIX network. It's not just, oh, look at our pretty pictures. Yeah, we got pretty pictures. Doggone it, we pretty people. Well, kind of, sometimes.
Sometimes.
Not first thing in the morning, though. Let me put my face on. But
and just so you know, if you want to jot it down somewhere, I'm sure you're gonna. Hopefully, it's easy. It's easy to remember, but it's INNERMIX360.com, and that's 360.com. INNERMIX360.com. Just ingrain it in your memory, embed it in there somewhere, and it'll be up very soon.
It actually, yes, really, really, really soon, actually. But well, it'll be ready soon. But ready for y'all? Oh no, we got some surprises coming for you guys. So when you see it, you'll say, "Oh, they did it right. They got me. I'm gonna be tuning in every day." Okay, so we got some cool things that we're doing with that.
And you will be tuning in every day because why? There's new stuff all the time. We're gonna be throwing at you brand new things all the time, so you don't know what to expect.
Did we say the INNERMIX network? That's what this is. INNERMIX 360 means everything INNERMIX, from the rooter to the tutor. Okay, y'all may not want to hear too much tutor, but the rooter, well, nah. Some people are just gassy. We're not gonna say no names. But anyway, here you go.
Sorry.
but we are bringing you guys so much of what you've been asking for, and it's been taking a while to get all the right pieces in place to deliver it the way that we say this is how they need to receive this stuff. So even when the site launches, you might come to the site one day and say, "Oh, this is nice," and then come to the site and say the next day, "Oh, this is better," because we're always working to improve it. So because as we grow, everything that's attached to us grows with it. So.
And anything that you want to know about us, for the most part, you can reach us through that website. Our Twitter, our Facebook, our Instagram, our YouTube, our everything will be on that site, centralized, and so it'll be so easy. If you want to know anything about INNERMIX, you go to INNERMIX360.com.
Matter of fact, y'all will be able to subscribe to us so that anytime something brand new happens, because like we said, we work in different parts of the industry. What if DEF CON 1 is looking for a new artist? It's going to hit the INNERMIX site first.
Yep.
If there's a concert coming out or we get free tickets or something and we ain't going, guess where it's coming out at, Or
if we have any giveaways or any,
If y'all want to rock, that hashtag so good T-shirt, ask about that later. We'll tell you about that later. Then INNERMIX 360 is where you're gonna go get it. Yep. So that's all we can say about what's happening right now. But there's more coming up after that. But that's enough for you right now. That's enough. But we're doing great. Somebody thought that we had broken up. No, INNERMIX is not broken up. Somebody wrote, did INNERMIX break up like Danny DeCane?
Hilarious.
I was rolling. That's when I said, why are they talking about something that happened so long ago? That's the only reason I knew that Danny DeCane got back together and broke up.
I know, me too.
That's the only reason I knew is because somebody said that they break up like Danny DeCane. So I had to go back and find out that they did a full-on show at the House of Blues in LA called DKLA. They did all this stuff, within the last couple of months. I had no clue No clue. So, but it was very interesting. So, but yes, you guys, we have a lot of things coming down the pipeline, a lot of great things in the works. So, if you pray into the Lord Jesus Christ, pray for us. Nowadays, you gotta just put some stuff on it, like, if you pray into the right Lord, if you pray into our God, pray for us. If you are not, keep us in your thoughts. Oh man. Oh man. I mean, we even had a really great meeting this Saturday, this past Saturday, where somebody came along and told us about ourselves.
Yeah.
And that was.
And, there was a funny moment during our conversation that we were talking about music, and again, this is our opinion show. This doesn't mean that anything we say is finite or that it is absolute truth. No, right. So I'm just gonna put that out there. The stupidest song lyrics that we hear on the radio today. What was it that he said? It was oh dang it, I forgot that one that he said. The one that I was thinking of was, "You remind me of something. I don't know what it is." You remind me of something? Oh. I don't know what it is right now.
but what's funny is that's how you talk. That's how you talk. You say those things. I've actually heard you say that phrase before. Wait, it reminds me of something.
That's the song. That is the song. That is the entire chorus line. Yeah.
You remind me of something.
I don't know what it is.
No, he was talking. He said these hoes ain't loyal. That's what he said. That's
right. These hoes ain't loyal.
He said,
well, duh. You're dating hoes. That's the definition of hoes. It's not loyal. Really? Anyway.
But yeah, so.
But that was funny.
I actually used that in my sermon this past Sunday. Yeah, I actually talked about that in my sermon. Like people dancing to it like it's a love song. You go to the club. I sure ain't loyal. But thank you for shouting me out. Are you like?
That's hilarious.
Oh man! So on that tip, Chris Brown is out of jail.
He's out of jail.
Yeah, he's out of jail.
Well, he was in jail?
Girl, what you did? Chris Brown had...
I thought he was on probation. I don't know.
No. He broke his probation somehow. He ended up in jail. He was in jail for a while, and people were wearing Free Chris Breezy T-shirts. Oh, okay, Breezy. Anyway, meanwhile, his on-again, off-again girlfriend, oh, man, I just want to jack her name up so bad. I can't even... Karuchi? The one that Rihanna was okay with for a while, and then now they don't get along. But anyway, yeah. Look at that, Karuchi, because he. Hold on.
Karuchi Tran. I have no idea how to.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? Because the word that comes to mind will not work on this show. You see what I'm saying? So, but a lot of announcers call her Karuchi. Right, so, but y'all can look up girl that was dating Chris Brown. Now they broke up, but she's been trying to milk the relationship she had with Chris Brown to get because she got a clothing line. He was paying for her clothing line. He was paying for all these things for her to do. So but everybody knew that she was just using him for the money. Now that she's got her own little popular name, she doesn't need him anymore. So she's wow, she's just all over the place. But apparently, after Chris got out of jail, a lot of people were starting to snap these pictures of Chris Brown because he had gained a little weight and he was kind of letting himself go and, going through some things. And so people were posting fat shame pictures of Chris Brown.
Oh, good Lord.
And but then what makes it so bad is that people who who do have some weight on them, they got irritated because the press was saying that Chris Brown is now, basically the press was saying Chris Brown has gained weight, which means he is no longer valuable as an artist. Out of all the reasons...
Really? Because he just signed up with Trey Songz for a tour.
Yeah. Well, but see, that's the thing, but he lost the weight to do the video with Usher. Because, Usher and Chris Brown had that song. Now, I gotta be honest, that's a tight song. It's a tight, with the mixture of the two, it's kind of tight.
I haven't seen the video yet, but I heard the dance-off was ridiculous.
It's crazy, but they don't really do it the way you want to see it done. You know, like you really want to see them go, but it's a music video, so it's kind of right. But I wonder what happened behind the scenes. I wonder if Usher said, "Come here, little man, let me show you something." because the one thing about it, like I was telling my wife, we were watching the video the other day. I told my wife, I said, you know, I'm still more of a fan of Usher than I am of Chris Brown. Not because his material is all that much better in terms of sometimes the content can be a little all over the place, but his music grows as he grows. Mm-hmm. His music doesn't get younger, per se. You see what I'm saying? His content may not be suitable for all ages, but he's singing about what he knows. Where Chris is a great writer. I've actually heard some of the other stuff he wrote. He wrote for Jennifer Lopez's new album. He wrote for a lot of people. Great work. But what he puts out for himself is the stuff that says, I have not grown up. This is what y'all want to see from me. So it's a very interesting thing. But you guys were asking, what is the opinion that we have of Chris Brown now that he's out of jail and, you know, all the things that are going on with him? Well, instead of narrowing it down to Chris Brown, in my opinion, I want to talk about young performers in general. Mm-hmm. Okay, young performers such as Chris Brown or Bieber. Thank you. You knew I was going there, girl. Mm-hmm. Okay, or even when Usher was in that age group. Okay, what happens is a lot of times people have these teams around them when they first start off to protect them from the world around them, and not just to protect them, but to guide them and shape them so that they can be as prosperous and as successful as possible. But then that team around the artist,
not just monetary wise, mind
right,
you,
right,
as a man, as a woman, as an adult growing up, they guide you to make the right choices. You know, kind of like a life coach. You're supposed to have a team around you who's going to help you make not just what's going to make you the most money, but right choices. You know, morally correct choices, and you know, helps not just yes men. That's not what you should have either. Not just saying, oh, whatever you say, Chris. Oh, whatever you say, Bieber. You know, no.
Right. But when you have an artist that all of a sudden, like one day you wake up and they're one of the biggest acts in the world, even if you're only getting 5% of that artist's net worth because of your role with that artist, you become a multimillionaire. Mm-hmm. Well, all of a sudden you stop thinking about their best interest and you start thinking about your own wallet. Right, so you stop paying attention to their development. You start in their, you know, social and emotional development. You start paying attention to, can I get them to do this? So a lot of these young artists, they burn out, right? And they start for freedom, they kind of rebel. It's kind of like, I guess the only way that I can even relate to it right now would be like for people who grow up as pastors' kids. You know, some of the pastors' kids rebel straight on because they had so much responsibility, or they had to do things a certain way. So like, even though these personalities were in these people, like in these artists, like Bieber, his personality didn't change. They imaged him a certain way, you know. So he was basically the Disney doll, you know. Like all Disney kids love Bieber, you know. All the girls went crazy over Bieber because instead of releasing the first songs they had for him, they went with Baby. Right, baby, 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 oh, you know. But they went straight with that. Right, and as opposed to going with what I actually heard was some of the other stuff they were going to release for him, because that was the one that was going to make him cute and adorable and all that kind of stuff, so the girls would go crazy for him. Because when he auditioned for Usher, he wasn't singing a baby kind of song. You know, that wasn't what he was singing. He was singing something that he really enjoyed. Well, same thing with Chris Brown. First song Chris Brown put out was what? Run It? Mm-hmm. Okay? But Chris Brown came from a background that dealt with abuse and dealt with neglect and dealt with a lot of things. So Run It probably wasn't the first thing on his list to do, but he was signed to one of the top managers in the business, and he had all, like, come on, who out the gate gets a song with Lil Wayne, and that's your first song, you know, or you know, that doesn't happen too much. But but literally he was signed to one of the top female managers, if not the top female manager in our business. So, and she had a lot of label power, she had a lot of power. He had top-notch videos that nobody who had major deals even afford at some points. So she really believed in him. So he had, a lot of opportunities. He got onto almost every soundtrack that had to do with his genre. He was killing it. But sooner or later, people break out and their personalities start to come out, and they start like Chris, and he basically said he started to become his father, who became physically abusive and stuff because he never had a chance to get through that stuff. That's he never had a chance to deal with that. And then you're giving him more power, more money, and he's able to get away with more because of his status. Who's not going to fall back on the things that they used to do, or that they've seen, or whatever, And then you get an ego, you get kind of a little bit of a God complex, and a lot of young performers have that happen. So one of the reasons why it takes so long to develop an artist is because they have to be exposed to the things that are going to tell them who they really are. And so there's a difference between developing an artist and just putting one out. And these artists that are going through the stuff they're going through right now, like Chris Brown and Bieber, they were developed, but they weren't nurtured. You know what I'm saying? They weren't nurtured, and they didn't have this safe environment for them to grow up in. So am I surprised that they're going through the stuff they're going through? No. Look at their histories, and you'll look at the things that have happened to their families and in their lives before. So they're just doing what happened in their family life, but in the public eye. That's all. So they're always
money.
But a lot of money, and people make excuses for them. If I did some of the stuff, they'd be like, lock him up. But he just bumped it, lock him up. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he didn't mean to hit, he was reaching for his cane. No, he hit her, lock him up. So it would just be crazy. So if people are making excuses, Bieber was doing crazy stuff, and then people were washing it away for him. So so instead of dealing with consequences, most young recording artists don't get forced to deal with the consequences of their actions. If by one day we sign somebody else to DEFCON 1 after this one, anybody who's worked with us knows that we let you pay the price for your consequences.
You reap what you sow.
Or at DEFCON 1, you reap what you done sown. And if you say something enough, we gonna let you experience it head on. We ain't gonna protect you. Oh, like there are artists that are out right now who cannot do live shows. So their team basically says whatever they do, make them sound good. That's how it works. Because we literally know people who are on tour with some of these people right now. I can't say who these people are, but it's real. The struggle for some people live is real. Okay, so so that's all I'm gonna say about that. Hey, talking about concerts, how did you enjoy the R&B concert you went to?
Oh, that's right. I went to New Edition concert. And opening up for New Edition was Joe, and I was floored. He sounds immaculate. He sounds exactly like every note is perfect, and he was just spot on. And then wait. How come I wasn't invited? Oh, because you weren't.
She said, "Oh, because you weren't." Okay. No, it's fine.
It was for a friend's birthday gift.
I don't even care anymore. Just keep on telling me how it was. I don't even care. I don't even care anymore.
It was actually sold out, so my bad. And we bought the tickets like months and months and months ago, and I completely forgot about it until the week before. And the reason why I remembered was I really wanted to go see the Beyonce and Jay-Z concert, which was happening the same day. And when I was looking into the tickets, which I couldn't even go anyway because it was sold out, that's when I remembered, oh, I have to go to New Edition, which was still great because, Bobby Brown was on tour with New Edition. He was part of New Edition, so he was signed on to do the tour. Midway, he quit because he couldn't hang. Right. And then, but then he came back for the LA leg of the tour. Right. So he made it, and it was hilarious. I love Bobby. I don't care, but he's just funny. But he's such a character. Like he's like a caricature of himself.
Right.
It made it so entertaining. It was a little gross at times, but it was just yeah.
Oh, was he still doing the body rolling and the?
Yeah. Not just the body roll. He's doing something. I'm just gonna say something with his tongue, which made me really uncomfortable because it's just no, Bobby, no.
Yeah, but like, no, Bobby, down. Put your leg down, Bobby. Put her leg down, Bobby. Bobby, put it all down, Bobby. Bobby, go backstage. Bobby, stop.
You know what though? Part of the concert, they actually said, "Bobby, go take a break."
Yeah.
Off stage.
No,
it was so funny.
Have you ever seen a Bobby Brown by himself tour? Have you ever seen a?
No, I have not.
My God, because I got a chance to see that when I was signed to the other label, right? And my God, funniest thing in the world, because Bobby is an all-around entertainer. I mean, he's Usher's influence. You can see it, but Usher's smoother at it. Bobby, like, Usher's like, come here, girl, let your clothes fall off. Right? Bobby's like, take it off. No.
You need some help? I'll help you. Come on, girl.
she kicking and screaming and the clothes are coming off like she got pants on that are too tight. Don't worry about it, girl. I got you. That's the Bobby Brown approach.
I was dying laughing. And you know, it's so funny because I went with like 4 other friends, and I think we were like the only yellow bubble.
Oh my God!
I think people are probably like, do they know where they're at? But it was pretty funny.
Oh, but remember though, we did a show like that, and literally the only table in the room with anybody other than black people.
Yeah. But it was so good. It was so much fun. It was like back in the 90s, you know, and they sounded so good. Like Ricky and Johnny Gill, everybody, they sounded really good. So, well, Johnny Gill was doing some like a little too much. He was overdoing it a bit much.
No. Look at who he was catering to. Y'all were the only yellow bubble. Right. You know, because remember, like you know how you'll say sometimes, you know, some gospel songs they do too much with that, right? But then you go to a black church, you're like, oh my God, they sing it, you know, but they didn't say nothing. They were starting their car.
But I was so disappointed because he didn't sing My.
Well, that's my job.
Oh, right. Okay. But yeah.
Hey, that song made me a lot of money. So, bye. You know what though? To be quite honest, my wife, she used to not like me singing that song in certain places.
Oh, I understand why.
You don't need to understand. You need to be on my side.
I understand.
You need to be on my side.
I'm never on your side.
I noticed.
But it was fun because the way they broke up the concert, you know, they did New Edition, the old version, the original OG, you know, and then they did, you know, Belle Biv DeVoe, and then they did, like, you know, they split it up, and then they did their solo stuff, and like, it was good. It was really good. So I had a good time.
Kind of like a Backstreet Boys concert, because, you know, they do all that. They do that whole thing. Some of them is just one of them singing their song. Like, the Backstreet Boys concerts, they hardly ever perform the whole thing together as the group, like NSYNC does. They do it like, okay, well, let me show you I can sing. Let me show you I can sing. Let me show you I can sing.
Yeah.
So it just drags on sometimes if they're not ready to take the spotlight, you know. So, but it's cool. No, I was just curious because, you know, well, there's just things that I was just curious about. I was about to say something on the air, but I realized I can't say that. So, so yeah. But anyway, you guys. So I was just curious. You know, so that answer is pretty much like, so what are our opinions? I think that they're growing up. I think that they're going to make some mistakes. Bieber is getting into fist fights now with was it?
Well, he's getting smacked by Orlando Bloom.
Yeah, got smacked by Orlando Bloom. Yeah, you're like, you know, so things are just happening. But these are things that you hear about you know, quite often with people who have a lot of power but then nothing else to do. You know, I mean, they're bored almost. I mean, Chris stays on tour and he stays in studio, he stays writing. So when he gets out, he don't know what to do with himself, right? Where Bieber had a lot of time off.
So he was egging houses and vandalizing.
Yeah, he was trying to regain his youth because he was on the tour. You know, Michael Jackson was not lying when he said he felt like he lost his childhood because he was a star as a kid. So what makes people think that these young artists aren't going to go through these same angst and stuff? You know.
Yep.
You know, Bobby did. He was like 16 when he got signed. Does that explain anything to anybody? Matter of fact, he got signed in the Coke era. Like not the drink. You know what I'm saying? So he got signed during that era, and remember, all of them were kind of out of the hood, you know, from that group. So, but anyway, so that's one bit of the entertainment stuff. Jules, what do you have for us to talk about?
Well, gosh, okay. Should we go into? Well, if we stay in the, it's not pop culture, but entertainment realm. But this is a little bit more on the depressing side. As everybody knows, the passing of Robin Williams. When I first found out the news that day, I thought it was a hoax. You know how sometimes on Facebook or like whatever they have like fake, ads or fake news articles or whatever.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So which I fell for one of them today. Anyway. So I thought it was one of those. I was like, oh, hell no. No way. No, not Miss Doubtfire. Not Patch Adams. I loved, and I grew up on, his movies, like Dead Poets Society, like all of those, like amazing Good Will Hunting. He was such an, amazing character. I could not imagine him taking his own life like that. And I'm sure everybody who heard the news, I mean, I think this was one of the most saddest
celebrity deaths we had in a while.
Yeah. Other than Whitney Walker. Houston and and Paul Walker.
Yeah.
So anyway, the more I've been like really reading almost every article I could get my hands on, like why did this happen to somebody who was so loved and was so affluent and so intelligent, and he just brought so much joy to people. And then the more I read about how he was so depressed and how he had all these addictions and how he had all these demons in his closet, and nobody really knew, or nobody, not to say nobody cared, but nobody took the time to like listen and talk to him about it. And I recently saw an interview with Dr. Phil. Not Dr. Phil. Dr. Drew.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like Dr. Phil. Dr. Drew. I do like Dr. Phil. Dr. Drew.
Dr. Drew, yeah.
The Silver Fox. Anyway, and he was talking about how a lot of comedians, that's what they do. A lot of comedians are very depressed. They're like Chris Farley. They all have these crazy, dark, negative things from their past, from whatever, like they never dealt with, and the way they protect themselves is by making fun of things, or making fun of themselves, and like just being a clown. That's a shelter. That's a character they put on so that other people like them, because they don't know how they will receive them if they were not funny.
And they don't know if they like themselves
exactly
without that character. Right, that's very true.
And I read about how Chris Farley died, and I never really knew. I knew he had a drug addiction too, and all those things, and he was also very depressed. But he was a fat kid who always got made fun of in school. And when he became a comedian, people loved him as a comedian. I don't think, and probably hung out with him and stuff like that for his fame. But did anybody ever really? He was so lonely. The day that he died, he was in a hotel room with a hooker, with a prostitute, and she left him. And he was choking on something that he took. I don't know what kind of drug it was. And she took a picture of him basically on the floor, and she took his money, took his wallet, and she left. And the last words that came out of his mouth is, "Don't leave me." He was that, depressed and that lonely and that sad and alone, and I think, unfortunately, that's also how how Robin Williams felt, I could only imagine, because how he felt about like his friends passing, and his, you know, how he dealt with so much depression from his childhood. If you actually look at him in interviews, and there are some that he's actually really genuine, and he's really raw, and he's emotional, and he is not funny. He's just really stoic and serious.
Right.
But a lot of them, when he's on TV, he is all over the place. He's the Energizer Bunny on cocaine. He's just on speed, so like everywhere, and that's him being, you know,
evasive,
evasive,
and putting on the show.
Yeah, and a lot of his interviews are like that, where and apparently he didn't have a lot of friends growing up, and so and he got made fun of. So creating characters in all those different voices that he's so famous for and popular for, that was his way of entertaining himself and talking to himself, and like keeping himself busy, was making up characters and talking to himself. And it carried on through till his adulthood. But even, you know, he had 3 wives, or, you know, 3 divorces, or 2 divorces, and his 3rd wife, you know, he had kids who, you know, he loved, and you know, they loved him, but then he didn't see them all the time, I guess, and like it was just, I don't know, and nobody knew. Him and his wife slept in separate rooms, which is not a huge, you know, huge deal, because I know a lot of couples do that and they're perfectly fine. But I think I don't know what happened in their marriage, or in his personal life and whatever. I don't think I'll ever know. But one thing for sure, what Dr. Drew was saying, when people are depressed, and he was depressed, he had, while he was during his 2nd marriage to his I forget her name, his wife, who he had the kids with, he was sober. He went into rehab. He got counseling. He did all of those things, and then somewhere along the line he fell off again recently, I guess. And when you're in a depressive state and you're taking all those supplements or like drugs, and you're drinking alcohol, and all these substances are in your body, and you're already depressed, it'll make you go in a crazy downward spiral that you cannot help. And especially if there's no one around you to talk to. If you're left to your own vices, it'll just become so devastatingly dark and lonely and depressing, and it literally will suck you in, and you can't think of anything else. And you know, a lot of people say, oh, people who commit suicide are so selfish. You know, they don't think about anybody else but their own pain, and blah blah blah. And I used to think that way, but the more I talk to people with depression, the more I learn more about how it affects you, and you know, me personally also going through certain situations where I felt depressed, or not to that degree where I literally attempted suicide, but I also know people who have attempted suicide, and the more I am aware of these things and I talk to them, I realize it's not necessarily that they're being selfish and they're not thinking of anyone else. They just can't. In that moment of utter hopelessness and utter loneliness and all those things, there's no other thought. And it's impossible to break out of it without assistance, without help, and without prayer, and without counseling. And so Dr. Drew was saying, when you have any kind of inkling that somebody might be depressed, if they're, you know, especially if they're taking substances, especially if they've already told you that they're going through depression, do not leave people to their own vices. Do not leave them alone. Do not leave them in their own thoughts, because you just don't know how deep that's going to go or how bad that's going to turn out. So
the hardest thing about depression is that a lot of times people don't know they're in it until it's hit them in a way that, like, you usually take somebody to help you see that you are not who you used to be. A lot of times you think that you're tired or you're stressed, or, you know, like you start to feel your body's running down and you can't figure out what's going on, you know, because we're so used to, as humans, we're just used to adapting to the situations around us. We're used to dealing with everything on our own, and we, especially independent people, like if you have a really bad childhood, you begin to depend on yourself. If you have a childhood where you feel like you've been abandoned, then you start to depend on yourself. And then when you try to form relationships, lasting, strong relationships outside, you know, when you say, okay, I want somebody in my life, you still don't know how to really let them in. right? Because the more you let new people and new situations into your life when you're a very independent person, it hurts. Like, because you have to pry off stuff that you use to protect yourself. Well, if you are somebody who, if you're dealing with if you're dealing with depression and you are used to taking care of things on your own, then the hardest thing is for that person to let you help them, right? Like, see, because not everybody's as persistent as I am. We're gonna be honest. You know, they're gonna be saying, "Well, let me do that." Well, no, I got it. It's okay. Because the first thing that people with depression ask you is, "Well, what can you do for me?" That's the very first thing. And honestly, that's one of the signs that somebody is going through a depressed state, and that is deeper. Because a lot of times, if somebody's just having a bad day, they're like, "Yeah, let's go do something," or "Oh, that sounds good," or "Oh," they'll try to find a way because they don't want to be where they are, right? But then you have people who will say, "Well, really, what can we do?" And then they find every problem in the world on why it's not possible for them to get fixed. Like, because for instance, at the label I used to be at, there was an artist that was signed to the label. And this artist was, performing and crowds loved him. But he was very depressed most of the time. If he wasn't on stage putting on the show, like we're talking about, then he was very depressed because he felt like the only thing valuable about him was his voice. And nobody wants to be brought down to only one aspect of who they are. Right? So he loved singing until he felt like that's all he was ever going to be good for, because once he was no longer on stage, he felt like he was only going to be the voice, and that's it, right? So the label intervened. You see, this is the good thing about old school labels versus like when people had coke habits at old labels, then the label said, "You're too valuable to me for you to get to die with that coke habit," because you're not only the singer, you're the writer, you're the such and such. So let's get you some rehab, right?
They were aware of their artists and their current situations,
Because they said, okay, a little coke for you is not going to hurt you per se, you know what I'm saying? But you're going a little overboard. It's wrecking your marriage, it's wrecking your everything, it's wrecking your voice, it's wrecking your career. We need you. That's what happened with Smokey Robinson. You know what I'm saying? So, but you see, he's still around, right? So anyway, so what the label did was they said, so they sent out the caretaker, the person who watched after the artists and made sure that the artists were mentally able to handle themselves on the road, so that they weren't going to be hit with lawsuits by, as a label, type stuff, right? And so this person was the one who knew how to talk to artists and all that. Anyway, they sent the person out and they said, "You know what? I think you are depressed." And so what they did was, because they didn't want the person to feel all by themselves, they brought a lot of us together. That's how I know what happened. They brought all of us together and said, "You know what? Sometimes being on the road can be a lot of stress, and it can be a lot on you. And if anybody's feeling like they are going through any form of depression, because we're recognizing certain things while out here when you guys are on the road, we'd like to help you out." And so then they talked to us all individually, and basically what it came down to, they offered him a 2-month stint at where he could go on, where the label paid for a little vacation for him to get away, so he could just so they could help him, so they could really work with him, so they could help build his confidence, that kind of stuff, right? And all he saw was problems. And, well, if this happens, then people are not going to know me anymore. They're not going to look for my voice anymore. They're going to think I'm just lazy, and they're going to and that's one of the signs that, okay, you can't find anything positive about what we're offering you right now. You don't see the help. You don't, and that's a clear sign that somebody is locked in a loop. They're in a depressed loop. They don't know how to see their way out. And so so there are a couple different techniques that help, when the people are, I hate to use the word salvageable, but when they're in a place where you can still get some real response from the person versus the everything is dying inside response. Because I've dealt with that one. And I've dealt with you can kind of pierce through, because they still are emotionally connected to what you're saying, right? And because some people, they're so emotionally off.
Detached, yeah.
Yeah, because they think that you're just going through the rhetoric, but you don't mean anything you say, right? So, because I was that person. I was that person who was totally detached when I was depressed. And that's when I was at the point of suicidal. That's when I couldn't see any reason for me to be alive. And the only reason I didn't take my own life was because I made somebody a promise, and I'm a man of my word. That was the only reason. You see what I'm saying? And I remember that conscious thought. That I remember that. Whereas some people are spiraling into a depressed state and they don't even know that they're spiraling, and they don't know they've lost control of the spiral. But they still are looking for somebody to lend them a hand. But they don't know whose hand they trust grabbing. So if you find that you have a friend who is going through a depressed state or going through serious situations, if you talk to them like your friend and not like somebody who's just curious about getting in somebody's business, they will hear what you're trying to say. They will hear you. Even if they don't know how to respond to you, they will hear you. It's like what they say about people in a coma. They can still hear you. And then a sure sign that it's reaching them is whether they're a man or a woman, they can't help but get emotional. Whether it's anger or they're crying or something, there's an emotional response to something you're saying. And that means they are there. They can hear you. I was numb. You see what I'm saying?
That's the worst.
Yeah, I was worse than numb. And I realized that even after I was married, and even after, I realized that God had put people in my life that I could not tune out, that I could not be numb to, which is like Jules and my wife. Yep, that's about it. So, you know what I'm saying? But I recognized even later on in life that I was still dealing with certain issues, because even when I had cancer, I did not recognize that I was that valuable to these people. I felt like if I'm dead, it's not going to make a big difference. I still had that in the back of my mind. And I said, well, since I'm not going to take my own life, if I happen to die because of this thing, then the better it will be for these people. Because that was still a part of the way my mind was working back then. And this is not even all that long ago. You see what I'm saying? So that's when I said, okay, God is helping me deal with this part. Helping me deal with this part of the country and this, and all these other things. So when it comes down to dealing with people who are going through these things, don't leave them alone. Yes, because depression is a very heightened state of loneliness. And understanding that, and when you're depressed, you don't see value in yourself or what you offer the world. People laugh, but they're going to laugh if somebody falls off a ladder, or they're going to laugh if somebody stubs their toe just the right way. So what value does me making people laugh bring to them? That's how my mind, that's how my mind was working in that place. They say they love me, but if I was never here, if I'm gone, they're not going to really miss me. Their life will continue as though I was never there to begin with. You see what I'm saying? So what value do I really bring? That's how my mind was working at that point. I'm only here helping because God just couldn't find anybody better at the time. But as soon as somebody better comes along, I literally went into managing Jules thinking that she was going to leave anyway. But so I treated it as though it was just a situation where I'm only here for this purpose, but sooner or later I'm not going to be good enough to represent her, so she's going to go somewhere else. So I prepared myself to be left, to be abandoned. So I was in that state of mind because that's what had happened to me all through my life. Those things never leave you, until someone says, I'm not going nowhere. And I remember the day that I recognized she wasn't going to leave me. Well, not in that way.
Don't leave me!
Yeah. But I remember somebody on the phone said, you need to deal with somebody more like me. And Jules' response made me say, oh, she's really here to stay. She's not really, she's not.
Oh, I remember that conversation.
Yeah.
Woo!
But
I saw red, people. I saw red. And that is not good.
But I remember.
For you.
Right. So I remember, because she said I needed a glass of wine after that. I just needed to relax. But I remember that depressed thing, that give up thing, that, all these things were happening to me around the same time that God said, wait, I'm going to bring somebody to you that's the one that you cannot ignore, that you cannot just block out because you feel like it. And that was my wife and Jules. And literally, I believe that's one of the reasons why I'm still alive today. Because depression will overtake you. I used to believe with everything that I was that my abilities, that being blind was always going to make me that manager that people just hung out with until they could find somebody better. And even though I could see things and I had a vision for people, it didn't matter because they weren't going to get rich right away. So my process was, they're going to leave too. Let me prepare them to leave, so that at least so at least they'll survive. Even if I die in this thing, they'll survive. Let me prepare them to leave me. So that's really what it's like, training your replacement. It's like training that person on your job, and you don't even know you're about to lose your job. It's like, so that was the mentality that I went in with. I said, let me do the best I can for this person who's going to mistreat me. That was my approach. So the reason I worked so hard was because I was like, well, yeah, I got to prove to them that I'm worth being around, or I got to prove. So I almost, hurt myself physically, because of all that stuff, So I almost wrecked myself. And then at the same time, I wasn't going to half step just because I felt like they were going to leave. I had to do the best I could, because that was where my value was going to be. So when they're off, joking about me in the distance, they're still going to say, but you know what? I did learn this. But I always pictured that. Like, there was a point when I literally pictured, that's how you know when people are when they're not in their right mind all the time. Like, they could be doing great work, but still not be mentally okay within themselves. I used to think that as soon as Jules left from training and stuff, she'd go home and make fun of me. Because I wasn't. Oh yeah. Oh girl, I was a little wrecked. I had a really bad situation with artists before you came along. So it was just. So I would think, but that's how. But see, I remember. I think I told you. I think I've said it on a show before. Because you remind me of the girls that I knew in high school, in the just in appearance and all that kind of stuff. So that's how they treated me. So I figured, oh well. Jules is somebody, and plus I was a fan of Jules. It wasn't like I was looking to sign her. I was a fan. I just wanted to work with her. So I was like, well, anybody who is, beautiful and talented or whatever is never going to see that kind of value in me. So let me be prepared to be made fun of, and I just want to see the best done for her. I don't really care how I'm treated as long as she succeeds, because my picture of myself was not as great as the picture I saw for her. So just like I used to figure, like at one point I figured, well, one day my wife is going to figure out that she could do better than me. And so I need to be prepared to have my heart broken so that she can at least be happy. That was you see how depression will just follow you and just jack you up on the inside? Like it'll torment you. But then I had consistency in the way these people dealt with me. So the reason why I understand, so my anger, I'd be if Jules said something things a certain tone, I'd be really angry inside. Jules was my trigger. Like, couldn't nobody make me as mad as Jules in the beginning, especially in the beginning. Oh my God, especially in the beginning.
Really?
Oh my God. Like, I'd be walking around the house having fits, like, if my wife's like, why are you so mad? That's what she's like, why are you so mad? I'm like, because I just did all this, and she don't even care. She don't even see how much work this is. She don't care, because she can do whatever she wants at the snap of her fingers, because she's cute. My God. I had never seen red like that in years until you came. Like, I was like, why am I so mad? Why am I so? But what it was is because I saw so much value in you that if you did not treat that I felt like since you had so much value, that made my value even worth less. Like my value that I at one point had in myself became lower and lower, because when people saw me and you, they really only saw you, and I blended into the background. I no longer mattered. And then it became kind of a running joke, behind the scenes. People was like, well, you were cool until she showed up. You were valuable. Now, but at least you get to train her so that people can say at least you got to do something. But these were people who weren't part of necessarily my team, but people who I was asking for help with, to do stuff. So it was just a very abusive, it was a very abusive time when I think it was during the first year and a half. It was just very unhealthy in terms of what was happening behind the scenes. So
who are those a-holes?
Oh my God! Like some of them.
Just name them after the show. Just name them. I'll take care of it. I got you.
But it was so. But what ended up happening was I realized now this is what a lot of people need, but they don't know how to ask for it. Is I needed a reason to get better. And so I remember I was talking to my mom and talking to a few people, because I recognized that I was just falling apart, on the inside, because I felt like the more I saw Jules accomplish, the less I was worth. And to the point to where everything I did was just to make her successful, and just so people could really see her. So I was willing to fight for her, but I could no longer fight for myself. I was too tired, I was too weak, and I knew that nobody could really fight for me until my partner showed up. And and he said, I've been watching for a while, and you're falling apart. You can't handle anymore because you've lost sight of yourself in helping her. You're giving her all of your knowledge. You're sharing with her everything that you've ever gone through and all these things. So she will basically have everything you have, but she won't have anything left. He said, and although you manage her, I manage you. He said so, and I remember he pulled me aside and he said, we got to fix this. What's going on with you? What's wrong? He said, and his thing was, because if we have to let her go so that you survive the process, then we're going to have to let her go. I said, wow, well, that's not going to happen. So he said, well, then you got to figure it out. We got to figure out what we're going to do to get you out of this state. But the same thing he did for me, I ended up doing for him 2 years after. Or a year after. It's like somebody's going to be paying attention to how you're feeling. Somebody's got to notice. And most of the time, I'm the person noticing what's going on with other people. So I felt like nobody's supposed to notice what I'm going through. And I expected no one to see these things. And even, sometimes, to be real, sometimes that still hits me. Sometimes I'm like, well, as long as I'm aware of what's going on with them, as long as I can help them, then that's fine. Because if I'm going through, that's not, they don't need to care about that, because really my going through is not going to, it shouldn't matter as much as they're going through, because I see so much in them. So recently my mother and I were talking about this because she used to be the same way. And she was telling me, she said, at some point, you get to the point to where you believe for some reason that everybody else is more valuable than you are. So, and because they don't do what you think, they don't do for you what you would do for them emotionally. They may do financially, they may do other things, but they don't know how to be there for you emotionally. She said, but some people don't know how to be. And when you think about, because we were talking about Robin Williams and stuff, and she was like, even if people noticed, that doesn't mean they knew how to be there for him. It doesn't mean that they understood what he needed from them. And because most of the time he was doing for them. And because he was aware of what they needed. They needed to laugh. They needed to feel better about their situation. He could make their situation that seems all tragic, something that they could survive. He made everything survivable for them. Even in our own lives, when we watch his movies and stuff, everything felt survivable because he took situations and made those situations funny and entertaining, and they were no longer big monsters trying to take people over. They became little situations that can be managed. And
all of his movies and roles were so inspirational. They always had some kind of a message.
Yes.
There's so many amazing quotes that came from his mouth.
And that's the thing. A lot of entertainers suffer from great depression situations. It is only because once the world knows you for a thing, they only treat you like that thing. So who are you when you are no longer that thing? Or who are you when the cameras are not on, or when the mic is not on, or whatever? Who are you at that point? And most people never have a team around them or a support system around them to tell them that this is, this is who you are. You're the person we love. You're the person that we want to spend time with. You're the person that we want to be with, 2 years from now. You're that person. So, so there's just a lot of things that people go through with depression, and really the only reason I'm even sharing this much, honestly, about some of the stuff that I've gone through is because it's real, and I'm seeing a lot of people go through it over and over again. Like, I recognize depression because we used to hang out. I recognize suicidal tendencies because we used to hang out. I recognize, I spent so much time trying to run from the, there were things that have happened in my family's past that I used to run very hard from because I didn't want that stigma to be attached to me, right? And in doing that, I was I was so caught up because my brother used to say things like, my brother used to say things to me as a joke that hurt my heart because I used to think that he was serious. I used to think that he believed that I was capable of doing, the things that had happened in our family's past. And so for a while there, I was in relationships, but I was never really in the relationship because I was afraid of what if they're right? What if I do these things that people have done in our past and stuff like that? So it was, and that really triggered my depression, especially because I wanted to be I wanted to be loved. I wanted to love. I wanted to be free to do these things, and I remember one day I figured since I'm not going to be able to comfortably love anybody and grow in the situation the way I want to in a healthy way, then it's not worth living. And I remember that was one of the reasons why I tried to kill myself. And and the people, and somebody came along and said, "Have you lost your mind?" It's funny when people approach you when you are depressed. Some people are either very, very sensitive. Oh, I understand. But it makes you feel worse. Makes you feel awful, right? Because you just see pity all over them. And then other people, like the ones that worked for me, were the ones who said, "Boy, have you lost your mind? What in the world?" I'm going to clean this up. What in the world is wrong with you? You know what? You can't kill yourself till I give you permission. You hear me? But for some reason, I felt loved in that. Versus the classic, "I understand, of course," like that soft, whatever voice. Everybody needs, we pick our friends because they know how to talk to us. They know how to get to us. Mm-hmm. We go see therapists because they're trained on how to talk to us, how to get to us. Literally. And I say it all the time, but people on Twitter, funny, they said, "You say this kind of a bit, but is it really true?" And I do say that when I get depressed or I need to feel revitalized, I listen to Jules' music. I really, really do. But I'm still a fan. Like Jules in a way is like Usher to me. Like everything she goes through ends up in her music, and it tells me that I'm going to be okay. You know what I'm saying? So it really makes me feel better. But the bad part about that is I know when she's lying. Like I can hear it in the music. I can hear if she's writing to write, and I can hear when she's writing because it's real. Because I'm a fan. I'm not one of those, "Ooh, great song, party in the club, big hoes ain't loyal." I listen for the wow factor. So but I really do. My wife will even attest to that. I literally sit there. I'm just listening to INNERMIX stuff, or I'm listening to, and I told her the other day. I said sometimes I forget I'm a part of INNERMIX when I listen to the music, because there are stories in there, and I'm like, why do I relate to these stories? I'm like, and she looks at me like, she looks at me like, "You idiot." I'm like, why do I relate to these stories so much? But you know what? It helps, So, but there's just a lot of things when it comes to depression. There's a lot of different angles and things that you can approach it from. But the one thing is, people go through things and they want somebody who's gonna not leave them alone in a terrible place. Nobody wants to be left alone in a dark alley. No one wants to be left alone in dark rape alley. Nobody. No, you know what I'm saying? Nobody. It's called Dark Rape Alley. Nobody wants to be there. The jail people don't want to be there. You know what I'm saying? Nobody wants to.
Oh my God. # Dark Rape Alley. Okay.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Nobody wants to be there, right? And I don't care how big and bad you are. They say, "Hey, dude, I'm gonna leave you alone real quick at Dark Rape, Dark Rape Alley." But it's cool, man. We'll be back in like a half hour tops, man. No, don't leave me alone in Dark Rape Alley. I don't care how many bullets I got. Mm-hmm. So I'm saying, you miss one shot, and well, that's how it feels when you're going to depression. You feel like somebody's just dropped you off in the worst place possible, and you've lost all sense of hope, help, and and you can't see any light because it's just too dark.
The way I went through depression, and I still do once in a while, but it was. Like I talked about this on the show before, but it was like a perennial thing. It was like annually, so around the same time every year, I would go through these bouts of depression every year. And then there were times it would gradually get worse, and then there were times when it, didn't last as long. There were times when it lasted more than, a couple months, and I didn't even recognize it until I pretty much hit rock bottom, and well, my rock bottom, my definition of it. But for me, it wasn't so much like I want somebody to come and get me. It was I don't want to talk to anybody. I pushed everybody out. I purposely didn't pick up any phone calls. I didn't want to talk to anyone. I didn't want to see anyone. I don't even know why that or how I would get to that point. It wasn't like something happened to make me feel that way every year around the same time. It just would happen all the time, and I just all of a sudden it started to just not be as I didn't want to go out anywhere. I just wanted to be a hermit. I would just come home. I would go to school. I would go to work and then come home, not be interactive with anyone, not be social, and purposely like screen all my calls, only take calls if I absolutely had to for like work or, like some deadline that was due or something like that. But even that I didn't even want to do. And I just, became an island unto myself. And then when it got really bad is when I started to have suicidal thoughts. I never actually attempted suicide in my past, but I've always had suicidal thoughts. And a lot of people don't know that, but I started having that since like, I don't know, like junior high. And then, I would envision like how I would die, like what would happen to me, who would come. I would envision my funeral, who would come to my funeral, and then, are they crying? And then I start crying, and then, like I just like create this movie motion picture in my head, and it's such a drama queen. But in that moment, it's so real, and it's like I'm actually attending my own funeral, and
right.
And I don't know how, but one day I would just wake up from it and be like, Jules, get your ass up and go work or go to the gym, and then I started to like, in those times of depression, I would gain weight. I would not, really take care of myself, like, visually. My hair is always crazy. Like, I didn't care. My room's a mess. Everything physically, spiritually, emotionally would be a mess during that time. And then when I would just, one day, I would get sick of it, of feeling that way.
Like, I'm done.
I'm done. Yeah, literally. I'm done. And then I would start cleaning my room. I do laundry. I start eating healthy food. I would start going to the gym. And then I start to like feel better. It happened every single year without fail. Maybe in the last few years it stopped. That repetition has stopped. But I also recognize a little bit better. I mean, there are times when I do have depressing moments and depressive states, depending on like the stressors that are around me or like what I'm going through or like situational things. But it's not like an annual thing like it used to be for so long. And I think a lot has to do with my friends also going through it with me. During those times, they would be worried about me. I don't pick up the calls. They recognize it when I'm being very distant. So I'm very blessed, and I'm very grateful for the people that God put in my life who recognize, like D, he recognizes when I'm going through stuff and I don't talk about it. But he does wait until I approach him because I also don't do well with in my eyes, intrusion of my privacy or whatever. When I'm not ready to talk about it, don't ask me nothing, Right. But it's all about timing for me. And I was talking about, I have such issues. Because I was talking about it on our meeting on Saturday. Like, I need it to be perfectly 75 degrees, or I'm either too hot or too cold. It's just the same, emotionally too. I need to be approached the right way, or I'm angry, or I'm sad, or I'm like, I got issues. Anyway, I'm working on it, y'all. I really am.
Well, see, that's why that's why that person came to meet with us and said, you know what, we're going to take some of your hats away. Because
yes,
I think they recognized that And he said it to me. It was funny the way he said it. He said, you know, with great talent comes great responsibility. You know, he said, and just because you are blessed in all these different areas and able to recognize, like, one thing is I remember almost everything that I've gone through and how it came out, you know, and all that kind of stuff. So that if I have to pass that knowledge on to somebody, it's not just a, I think you know, it's a, this is what happened type thing. But he said, you know, you guys have a lot of talent. He said, but the thing is like you guys need somebody to come along and take some of these hats away from you for a little while because, and he went down a list of, and this is what I thought was really cool, because sometimes you swear this guy's not paying attention to anything that's going on with you. You know, like you're like, really? Mm-hmm. Like, where are you at? Like, where are you at right now? Mentally, where are you at? You know, but you know, the idea that they're able to basically run down all the roles that we play for each other. You know, and at the same time, who we are collectively and individually. And still say, because one thing he said to me earlier, he said, you know, so, like, you know how I know that, you know, Jules isn't always a fan of me? She's had my number for 2 years, has never called me once. He said that in the studio. We were in the studio like Friday night or something. He said, yeah, you know, he said, well, I'm not surprised, you know. Like, he's like,
well, at least not surprised.
Yeah. I was like, you know, what am I gonna say? No, that's not what it is. You know, like, I'm not gonna lie. You know,
it's true.
Yeah. But it was just so funny because he's like, I don't care. I'm still gonna help. You know, like, he's like, whatever. But it's just the coolest thing because, you know, I have the same thing. I'm like, they don't have to be. I'm still gonna help them. You know, because there are people who we've had come around, you know, when we were doing like our other company thing or whatever, or, you know, and then Joseph say they're just so unappreciative, you know, blah, blah. And I'm like, I know, I don't care, I'm still going to help them. You know, and she's like, okay, dude. You know, like, you know, I get the eye roll, the sigh, and the, like, because she, and you can tell in that moment she's like, you shouldn't, but you're probably right. You know, you're a good guy. You know, type thing. But she's like, better you than me. She gives me the better you than me eye roll. You know, until I ask her to help the same person park their car. But anyway.
God. Anyway. I love you, Elevator Man. I do. I really do.
Oh, that's funny. Oh man. But this weekend, and you know, with everything that we're talking about, from depression to everything else, and all the stresses that are on people, you know, one thing I enjoyed about this weekend is that everybody was too tired to be false or to be put up the front. They were just like, this is what it is. This is what you should do. This is how I feel. This is what we could do. You know, it was just like, you know, it was like cool because nobody had time or the energy to play a role.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, and that, that only happens every so many years, like leap year.
Right.
You know, it's like, ooh, just too much going on. You know, it's funny because you can't hide nothing. You got stuff you think people don't know, and they be like, well, I can tell. Like this guy, we call him Elevator Man, but this guy, if you don't know, guy was the old shows, but this guy. He asks 2 questions and tells you all about yourself after 2 questions.
Yep.
And then you're like, I might as well be honest about this now because I can't, because my facial expression is told like how you know. Wait, what? You know,
that's some magic stuff. What?
It's like, wait a minute. And then you're too tired to try to play it off. You're like, you know, you can't even. You're like, whatever. You know, because I saw him work this. I saw him, because, you know, I brought the new artist around him, and he did that to her, and it was just the funniest thing in the world. Because she was like, what happened? She said, literally, she looked like somebody just, like a bullet just went past her head. It's like, wait, what happened? Like, how did he, what did he do? I said the same thing I did.
What'd he do?
What'd he do? Like I said, he just figured you all out in 2 questions. And then he told you he figured everything he needed to know about you out in 2 questions. But I do the same thing. Mm-hmm. So she was like, what happened? He's like, remember that move? Remember Rush Hour where Chris Tucker got kicked in the face? He's like, wait,
yeah. on that movie.
I know. Me and my wife talking about having a rush hour marathon, watching all of them back to back.
Awesome.
But that was her facial reaction after she realized me and my wife sat down and explained to her what happened. She's like, wait, what happened? Who just kicked me? Like, but it's good to have those kind of people around you because they're paying attention to you and they help you recognize the things that are tearing you apart or that are making you strong. You know, so because I love his rendition of why people like INNERMIX. So it was really cool. But there are a lot of things people are going through right now, and as they go through these things, they need to know that you're paying attention to them. A lot of the things we talked about for entertainers, one of the reasons why they go through the stuff they go through is because people stopped paying attention to them that were actually close to them. So they become really reckless and they start doing things that are making them lash out for attention. Same thing, with people who are depressed. There are signs that people need help when they're depressed. But if you're not looking to understand or pay attention to somebody, then don't be surprised when somebody tells you they hurt themselves. Some people who hurt themselves, they commit, they die in that thing. Some people, they end up institutionalized because, it wasn't cotton time, or, they hurt themselves to a degree, or some people have failed suicides, but they have changed their lives forever.
And there's also some people who I personally know someone who is a cutter, and they're not necessarily trying to commit suicide, but that's how they deal with pain. That's how they deal with their emotional pain, is by physical pain. Not to the point of killing themselves, but who knows if it'll eventually turn into that. And so if you know somebody who, and actually people don't announce that they're cutters either. That's not something that they tell, like, oh, I when I get upset, I cut myself. They don't say that. It's very secretive. It's very, private, and it's something that they don't want to share with the world because it's it's how they feel and how they then they don't want to show it to anyone, so they also put up a front on the outside with a very exuberant personality, but on the inside they're hurting, they're depressed, and they feel lonely. And how to fix that is by hurting themselves physically, and as they see their wounds heal, they somehow connect that to their emotions also being healed. It's quite interesting, the psychology behind it. But, if you know people who are going through stuff like that, if you even have like an inkling of, any suspicion, like, don't bombard them with stuff, because then they will be defensive and put up even more walls. But just listen to them, just talk to them, and just approach them with love and with care, and with just kindness, and just like how Jesus would, with a lot of love, and
and compassion.
And compassion, yes.
Very true, very true. And now, because we only have a little while left on the show, we're gonna swing you back up a little. So let's talk about something that you guys want to talk about. But we got one question that actually came in dealing with what we were just talking about, which is, and I'm trying to figure out how to answer this question because so basically what it was a Twitter question, and it's basically, when you and I are going through our little, we go through our depressed states and our happy states and whatever. So the question was, how do you deal with D when he's depressed? And then D, how do you deal with Jules when she's depressed? And Jules told you, when it comes to me dealing with Jules, I wait until she's ready to talk. I wait until she's, well, depending, because Jules has different levels. But I've learned enough into, I watch and I wait, or I will, deal with the side issues until the real issue is ready to come out and be seen. So we'll deal with other things, because a lot of times when we're going through these things that are depressing us, is we just need help lifting the rocks up off of us, because we feel like we're carrying all these different things on our own shoulders and stuff. So sometimes dealing with the thing you're using to carry it all, you don't want to let go of it because you feel like it's your responsibility. So, but you can help by taking some of the rocks out. By so like if things get to be too much, like we talked about a couple weeks ago, like we are partners. Jules and I are equal partners in everything that we do. But since I am let's say the I'm the managing partner, you know, right? Like I manage a lot of the intermix stuff, right? So if I see that too much is on Jules' shoulders, then intermix will do the things necessary for some of those rocks to not be on her shoulders so that we don't fall apart, because if one side's weighed down more than the other or whatever, it's just not even. We're not evenly yoked, and it's going to be really hard walking up this hill, you know, that we call life if she's slipping and sliding and heavy and can't. No, it's not gonna work. So we take so my thing is I just help her deal with the side issues until the real thing, the real weighty boulder that's in there is revealed. Because sometimes you can't even see that thing until you deal with the side stuff. You can't. So somebody said how poetic. But yes, like that's what we do. I mean, that's literally what when I look at Jules, even if I know what the main issue is, that may not be what she wants to talk about. Half the time that's what nobody wants to talk about their main issue.
Yep.
Nobody wants to talk about their main issue. Come on now. You don't even talk about your main issue asking me how I talk to Jules about her. Nah. That's what I'm saying. But I've learned, and I'm talking. Well, remember I'm older than Jules, and we've gone through a lot of stuff together and separately. And I've learned that if I don't bring my stuff to the forefront, it's gonna seem like it's getting heavier and heavier. And over time, especially as a recording artist and actor and all that kind of stuff, see, everybody feels stuff. We just like to feel stuff to the 100th power. Mm-hmm. So if it's hitting us, it's really hitting us, and then we're trying to figure out how to get out of it mentally, but emotionally we're still like, because we kind of live for emotion.
We're extremists.
Thank you. We live for the emotion, but then because we've opened ourselves up to emotion so that we can convey emotion, but then sometimes we get emotions that we're like, why are you here? Why are you talking? How'd you get here? How did you get here? Yeah.
Get out!
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, we start going all Deborah Cox on them, all these emotions. But then we recognize them, we learn about them, we learn how they work with us, and then we learn how to channel those things into the things that are, our release system, our creativity, our ability to talk to each other without a filter, and that's when we're just tired of whatever the emotion is. So that's how I deal with Jules. I communicate with her in a way where we're safe, because whatever we talk about is us. So because me and Jules will talk in the middle of an action scene and have deep conversations. I'm sorry, that just cracked me up. Go ahead.
Something that I noticed about how we talk too, also about with each other. D is very nurturing, and so like the way he talks to me, he comes with so much like compassion and care. And if we try to put like a role, on it, he would be like a motherly love. Like he comes to me with, like understanding and compassion, and this lays it out, and like, talks through the emotion with me, and talk, that kind of stuff. I'm more like fatherly structure with like a katana, and and D, the way I don't know if I'm necessarily helping D. I hope I am, but when he comes to me with situations when he's overwhelmed, or when he's stressed out, or when he's going through depressive states, he doesn't always outright say it all the time, but there are times when we do talk, and he'll bring it up, and I'm there to listen, and I'm there to talk it out with him as well. Just our approach is slightly different. I like to cut things, so instead of like cushioning and sugar coating, or like very caressing gently his whatever emotion he's going through, and layering off little by little. No, I just cut it in half. Stop this mess. that makes no sense. Get off. Like
usually it's like it'll go from like if I'm talking to Jules, it'll be well, I like with Jules, I'm not gonna get well. Okay, so how do you feel about that? And if I get that, it's because it's set up. It's a setup, right? And I've learned it's a setup, right? so because her next response is, well, why you even deal with it? Like why are you even dealing with that? Like and it just and that's her slicing and dicing. Just cut it off. And then I'm like, Jules, you can't just cut it off, Jules, because they need the leg. Jules, I need that leg so I can. I gotta help the person because if I'm not
gangrene. No, cut it off.
She's like, look, it's either you or them. I'm sorry, it's gotta go. Like that kind of thing. And then even if I'm rationalizing or if I'm actually being 100% correct about a thing, she's like, well, I'll tell him. Like Jules is ready to sit at the table, like. Just ready to set the table and say, you know what, we don't need you.
Get out.
because so you can either leave the table now or we can just remove you by force. Either way, it's fine with me. I'm good. I wear the right shoes for this. Like oh man. But yeah, we do have a very somebody just said, you guys are so opposite from each other yet so the same. That's
pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. Like so that is funny. But yeah, that's kind of how we deal with each other. But I think I spend a lot of time nurturing people, right? So that's my role. Jules is the survival trainer. Like if I'm teaching you that you can survive boot camp, Jules is the one to say, okay, now we're going to the woods. Come on, grab your stuff. I was about to say something else. Grab your stuff. It's time to go. I almost missed that one, Jules. That one almost got away from me. But she's like, grab your stuff. It's time to go, right? And then I'm on the trip with her through the woods of life, right? And people coming with us, but somebody stubs their toe. Or somebody twists their ankle. And Jules like, are you okay? Can you walk? No, I'm kind of hurt. This is kind of... No. Can you walk? I didn't ask you if it hurt. Of course it hurts. You twisted your ankle, but can you walk? I'm like, these are two different questions. Answer the question I'm asking you. You know what I'm saying?
Yep, that's exactly it.
And I'm the one saying, wait, let's at least wrap the ankle so it doesn't get worse. How much time is that going to take you?
Gotta go.
Yeah, we gotta get, because I know we're supposed to be at such and such place at such and such time, and we need to get there. So what are you gonna do? Carry them? You gotta carry all of them when they twist their ankle? No, they gotta walk on it. I gotta walk on my my twisted ankle. They gotta walk on their twisted ankle. And I said, well, let's at least wrap it. But that's kind of how we continue to move forward. Is there's a lot of care and compassion, but there's also a lot of we gotta drive forward. Because even when Jules is tired, and I'm the drive forward person, and all of a sudden she's compassionate. You're never going to get us both in the same place at the same time, so y'all just got to deal with it.
That's true. That is very true.
But we do balance each other out very well. But that was interesting. That was a good question. But seriously, we laugh a lot. But seriously, I mean, we balance each other out very well. And then we were going to talk about this Jay-Z relationship thing, but I think we can answer that because you guys were asking about. What are our thoughts on, celebrities and relationships, and then especially, the Jay-Z, Beyonce thing right now. And then we also got a question on Twitter asking, well, how do you guys, basically, how do, this must be somebody new because I know we've answered this question before, but how do my wife and Jules get along when it comes down to, to interacting with each other, basically, while we do the INNERMIX thing and then there's a similar question basically asking, do I think that my marriage will suffer because of my entertainment lifestyle? First off, my entertainment lifestyle is very boring, to be quite honest with you. My personal entertainment lifestyle is kind of boring. Because I spend a lot of time looking for new people to help or new things to do when it comes down to entertainment. Then when I do the entertainment thing, when I do the entertainment thing, I entertain. I do that thing because I love it. But then I go right back to work. I don't hang out at the club. I don't, go try to get people to fall in love with me. I'm not looking for a side piece, or anything like that. I ain't got time for. That's just too much work. No.
Mm-hmm.
Too much work. So,
Well, something you
so
guys, something that I've noticed about celebrities, and it's just people and human nature, I guess, but like in particular, because celebrities are in our eyesight all the time. Let's say, in particular, let's talk about actors.
mhm.
When when actors are young, starting out in the business, or even if they're not just starting out, but like they're already in the business, um, many times when they're not in a serious relationship, um, they provocative scenes and those type of roles and like all those things, and they do go out to the club and do all these things and
Mhm.
look for the have the FOMO, fear of missing out thing. So they're always at the every single red carpet event, every single opportunity to whatever.
I'm sorry, did
um
you just say FOMO?
and once Yes, I did FOMO. um and
Can
then
I,
once
can I get
it gets to
FOMO?
a point.
Go ahead.
That's a real thing. Hashtag FOMO for real. Look
Oh
it
my
up.
God.
I'm trying to be all hip right now. Okay, so and then after they settle down and have family, they get married. Those kind of super provocative roles really don't get seen very much by them anymore. Also, they're not, it's, I'm not talking just like marriage by, association or just on paper. I'm talking like
Mhm.
super, they're happily married, they're happily, together, they have a family, that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
Then you don't see them at every event, other than the movies that they're trying to promote, obviously, but it's not like they're trying to hit up every single club, every single red carpet event, every single whatever, and be seen everywhere. They don't do that anymore.
Right.
And I think as for Dee and myself, not to say, oh, age is everything. We're not talking about that, but we haven't necessarily hit the, success level, quote unquote, of like A-listed celebrities
Mhm.
to the point where, yeah, we're getting shot everywhere. We're on like the silver screen and like, getting interviewed every single day by whatever magazine or whatever TV show. But we have been in the business for steadily for a very long time and have seen it and have interacted with people in the business and celebrities and whatnot. And I think we are tired of fluff and we're tired of that scene. Um, and so, as far as our entertainment life, I don't foresee it becoming an issue because we started when we do become more so, even more so than now, like in the limelight, on the red carpet
Can
events
you
and
imagine our
whatever.
lives getting busier than they are right now?
Exactly, and we have no time for at the club, after the club, in the club. There's just no time. Um, and the more important it'll be for us to spend what little personal time that we will have with our families, and we want to, because we miss them.
Oh,
um,
I'm supposed to miss them?
so
Oh,
yeah, that's in their contract.
yeah.
So yeah, as far as our entertainment, and plus I don't know about Dee, but for me, I got all my clubbing days out of my system long time ago. I don't need it. I'm too old now to the point where I can't wear heels for too long. Loud music hurts my ears.
Well,
I
and then you
get
got to give them the run.
tired.
You got to give them the rundown of what it would be like for Intermix versus like somebody who's an actor or even a musician separately,
Mm,
because for us, what would happen is, like I'm trying to be a minister anyway, right? So there's the church obligations and things that we do, probably speaking tours. So if we're not performing as singers someplace, we're probably on a speaking tour someplace. There are let's say there are rumors of TV shows in the future, right? So that there is that. But then there's also the radio show, okay? And the radio show is a consistent thing. It's not something that we're just going to stop doing every time we got something else to do. So we might
mhm.
be on location somewhere, but still doing this interaction with you. We might just be in a makeup room because as soon as this is done, we got to go on stage somewhere. You know what I'm saying? But we still have this. Now, on top of all that, there's promotion for each individual thing we do. Because
Oh,
in a
don't forget
couple
acting.
Oh no, no, I'm not having hit that yet. Haven't even hit that yet
Oh, okay.
because we're still dealing with music and the radio show. You know what I'm saying? And Jules and I own everything we do for the most part, right? So because of that, we are responsible for everything that has our brand name on it. So we are the faces and the sound of Intermix. So everything. So if Intermix releases a perfume line, guess what? Jules is going to be in Asia somewhere, or across the United States somewhere, doing promotion for the perfume line, while I might be over somewhere talking about, the benefits of learning to love yourself, right? And then
And how you do that?
yeah.
By perfume.
Yeah, exactly. Only we would like, if you smell good, you feel good. You see what I'm saying? Like, you got to intermix the emotion with the movement.
Olfactory senses, yes.
Yeah, right. You see what I'm saying? So it's called feel good perfume. You gotta learn to feel good. Hashtag so good. You see what I'm saying? Like you just, you know what I'm saying? Like you gotta, ooh. Anyway.
You're giving too much, D.
Oh my God. So anyway, I know you know.
Not ready yet. Not ready yet.
But one day y'all gonna have cameras in a session with me and Jules where we're coming up with ideas of things to do, and you're gonna be like, this is insane. but the thing is, that's just like I said, the TV. That's like with that's the radio show and performing, because as musicians, you can be on the road for 3 months. Like I just saw a call for people to go to China for 3 to 6 months on a contract for a pop tour, right? And that's 3 to 6 months out of your life already contracted out. So for musicians, you may always be on the road doing that kind of thing. So you're promoting, you're doing interviews, you might be doing press junkets, you might be doing all that kind of stuff. That's a lot of work in and of itself, considering that we still have a radio show to do. And now that.
And you're constantly trying to, you're trying to be in the studio as much as possible, making new music.
Yep.
And
because
then
now,
after the music is done, you have to make videos for those musics.
And you still got to promote all that.
You got to promote it, yes.
Yep. Now, there's not just, oh yeah, and even in that, let's be real. Even in that, you still have to, because now we live in a world of singles, not albums. You know what I'm saying? So even though you have all these singles that people love, you still have to have an album to say that you're a real artist. You can create a body of work. So we may have an album that we're working on, but we still have to have all these singles. And sometimes the singles that come out aren't even on the album people are buying. Mm-hmm. Because they just hit that, because you can release a song so quick now. It's not like it used to be. So, but anyway, then that's that side. But then you go to the acting side of what we do. You could be on location for a film for 2 weeks, 3 days, or 3 months, depending on what the film is and the role. Now, if Jules is on set, I'm Jules' acting coach. So, when they hire Jules, they just hired Intermix. To be on set. And then meanwhile, while Jules is up on set doing her thing, we're still dealing with all the business stuff that happens behind the scenes, because what if all of a sudden we have a clothing line or something we're working on? And yeah, even if we have somebody who's managing that line or managing whatever, we still have to deal with the day-to-day, because Jules ain't going to just let anything out with our name on it. Mm-mm. She's like, you tell them to hold. I'll be back from doing this scene in 30 minutes. You tell them to hold. You know what I'm saying? Or I'm going to cut them. Yep. So there's a lot. So our lifestyle, the entertainment lifestyle that people consider, like with the cameras and all that kind of stuff, we have to do that because it's part of the world that we live in as entertainers, from photo shoots. Like it used to be, you could do a photo shoot every season, and that's fine. Now, because of Instagram, by the way, INNERMIX 360, okay, Instagram, y'all follow us on that. But because of Instagram, everybody has to know everything you're doing, and they want to be a part of everything. We love the fact that you guys want to interact with us that way. We've actually met some pretty cool people on Instagram already. So because of that, though, now everybody's going to see your whole collection of pictures probably in the first, month. You still have 2 months to fill. So if you're not out and about doing random things every now and then, you got to be doing the shoot. You need to do other things. So the price of being a celebrity has come down, but the time cost has gone up. So finding a way to, so anytime we have an opportunity to see our families and to have them hang out with us, like photo shoots, family shows up for me. You know, like everybody's there, all that kind of stuff. Great time. Even though I can't sit and just hang out with them, they love being in the middle of it and they love helping out. My wife literally will sit there and iron everybody's clothes so that she can be a part of the experience with us. You know, yeah, bet y'all wish you had a girl like mine. She will show up and iron anything, and she'll be helping Jules out, and she'll be helping me out, and she's just, and as long as we keep her focused, it's all good.
That's the key word. Focus.
Focus. Because I remember once she saw some shoes Jules had or some pants Jules had for a shoot, and for some reason she lost off. Ooh, those are so cute. She was helping me do something, and she walked out the room and just went and hung out, and then forgot to come back. So, you know, it was cute. I couldn't help but chuckle. But anyway, you guys, you know, long story short, even though we just made it pretty long, you know, yeah, our experiences, you know, when it comes down to being Intermix, there are a lot of things that we do, and there are a lot of things that we are learning. We are still in the process of learning how to manage our time effectively, because expectations and things, you know, that we have for ourselves and that our families have, and you know, we, like Jules, like she's getting ready to fly to Taiwan, or not Taiwan, yeah, no, Thailand. So you're getting ready to go to Thailand, right, in a couple of months.
Hawaii first.
Oh yeah, so Jules, right. So in that, you know, that means that if we have anything that we're going to be doing, we have to work around not only that schedule, but we got to work around my family schedule. We got to work all these things out. But at some point, we're not going to be able to work around stuff anymore. We're going to have to plan around our Intermix schedule. And so that's going to be a big adjustment for everybody, including us. You know what I'm saying? And that's, you know, and I mean, that's a real conversation. That's a real thing, because I was in a lot of meetings over the last couple of days. You know what I'm saying? And it's a real thing. Like right now, we plan around the things, you know, let's be real. We plan around things we want to do, you know, or people want us to do. We do, because we can right now. But when we become the financial stability for other people who work for us or with us or whatever, then now we can't even do that mess no more.
Right.
So I was like, what? But yeah, okay. So anyway, you guys, that's the closing bell.
Yeah, that was the alarm that went off. That's been our show. Thank you for joining us on our show tonight. It was so much fun, and educational for me too. Yes.
Oh yeah, I'm always looking to learn something new. So you guys, you want to keep up with Intermix, you know, find us on Twitter at INNERMIX_show. That's INNERMIX_show. You can hit us up on Instagram, which is, you know,
INNERMIX 360.
INNERMIX 360. Do not spell it out. Just type in the numbers. You'll be better off that way. On Facebook, just type in Intermix. And on Google+, which is where we are taping this, you guys can just put in Intermix Show. And there you go.
That's it.
That's it. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. I'm Simply D.
This is Jules, and we will see you next week, Monday night, 9 p.m. Pacific Time.
Sure will. You guys
have a good night. Mwah. Bye.
I'm not kissing y'all.